Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I'm the host of this show, a show dedicated to hard rock, heavy metal, progressive rock, and other rock genre type music. Anyways, today we're doing a Wednesday night favorites. And I'm going to do something I have not done since my second and third videos, since I've been on here, primarily because I haven't owned enough material for me to do a proper justice to these type of things. So my original ranking of the albums was by Rush, which I did right at the beginning of when I started this YouTube channel. And I haven't ranked anybody else, but decided today I have what I want to rank on one particular group, and I feel comfortable doing it this way. So normally I would think to rank albums from the whole studio discography of a group, but in this case I'm only going to do a select group of the albums. And so we're of course talking about the rock band Van Halen. I'm only going to be doing the David Lee Roth albums because those are the ones I have and those are the ones I like. And I don't got anything against the Sammy Hagar albums. I do have the 50. Yep, I do. I do have this one. This one, 50, 51, which isn't a bad album, but I don't really want to rank it, so I'm not going to. I'm only going to rank the 6 studio albums that came out prior to that one. I don't have any of the other Sammy Hagar ones, nor do I have the Gary Sharon one. I thought about getting the more recent album that was released by Van Halen with David Lee Roth and Wolfgang Van Halen, but decided at the last minute that I would just do the 6 studio albums from the original Van Halen lineup prior to 1994. So, okay, so before I start the rankings, again, this is only the second time I've done a ranking. It's a Wednesday night favorite show, so I wanted to do this for that. Before I start, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about Van Halen as a band. This is a band that had a huge impact on me when I first started listening to them, which was, I believe, well, let's look at this. I should say here. Yeah, I started listening to them around 1980, right around or just after the Women and Children first album came out. I didn't actually own that one. My friend got it. He says, "Oh, you got to check this band out. The guitar player is amazing." So I listened to it, and yeah, he is amazing. But then I started listening to stuff on the radio, and there was a lot of Van Halen on the radio at the time. But I've always been more of a vocalist person than I've been a guitar player because I tend to be more of a drummer. That's the instrument of my choice, but I've always been interested in the vocalist more than the actual guitar player. So for me, Van Halen was pretty much about David Lee Roth, you know. And I know a lot of people have a problem with David Lee Roth, but I don't actually. I quite like him. In fact, I watched an episode of somebody who I like their channel quite a bit, and they talked about having a man crush on what's the guy? David Coverdale from Whitesnake. And as soon as he said that, I immediately knew what he was talking about because I had the same kind of feeling about David Lee Roth. Just loving his stage persona, loving his charisma, loving his vocal style, loving his bombasticness, just like the whole package I like about the guy and the looks and everything, right? So I so I decided that I would make Van Halen my second ranking. So today, like I said, Van Halen was one of those bands. Probably at that time period when I first started listening, the first couple of years, they were probably in my top 5 bands. And it would have been with Styx and Sabbath and Yes and Rush. They would have been my top 5 bands. Rush, Yes, Styx, Sabbath, and Van Halen would have been in that mix. But after David Lee Roth left the band, I just kind of drifted from them and never really got back into them again. But today we're going to do a the ranking of the 6 original studio albums by the rock band Van Halen, and we're going to do them in the normal fashion, which is from least favorite to most favorite. And I want to say right up front that this is two things. First, this is not the definitive Van Halen, this is the way it has to be, because everybody has their own feelings about the albums. Trying to force somebody to like something that they don't like more than something they do like is just ludicrous. Doesn't really ever make any sense to me. So the other thing I want to talk about is that I want to say that there are no bad, these six albums, there's no bad ones. So it's, instead of saying from the least to the most, it's probably just the ones I prefer more than others. So to me, they're all great albums. The bottom two, maybe I would give like a 2 ranking, to be a level 2 for me, and then the other ones would be like basically level 1s and one Grandmaster, which is the first album that I'm going to put as my number 1. So I have done a couple of videos about their studio discography, but I decided I would rank them since I've been listening to them quite a bit since I acquired 2 of them that I hadn't had. I had them, but I hadn't had the CDs, and I just got the CDs recently, so now I have the entire 6 of them, and so that's why I decided to do it. So without further ado, because I've dragged this on too far already, here are my top 6 favorite Van Halen of David Lee Roth era in least to most favorite. Okay, so we'll start with this one. This one would be my number 6. It's a good album, pretty solid, despite the fact that it's got Jump on it and Panama, which I think are really overplayed and kind of too poppy. Not that Van Halen doesn't have a poppy sound to them in some ways, but it's just a bit too poppy for me. I like Hot for Teacher quite a bit, really good song. Girl Gone Bad, not bad. But overall, the album isn't bad, but nothing really memorable about it. Other than the 2 tracks that were renowned for being pop hits, because you know them from listening to them on the radio. But other than that, it's not really a very memorable album. I kind of like the cover a bit. And of course, this is iconic. I love that too. So there's my number 6. Van Halen's 1984. Okay, so moving on up. So that album to me is the least of the 6. Not really challenging any of the other 5. The next one up was probably kind of between the top 4, and like 1984, I would give it like a low 2 ranking, and this one I give it like a high 2 ranking. So there's a bit of a difference between. There wasn't really much competition between the 2, but we're going with Van Halen II as my 5th favorite Van Halen's. Really cool back cover. I like that a lot. I really love their logo. It's one of the best rock logos, I think. The album cover is quite attractive. It's a kind of a bluish, grayish color. Got some notable songs on here too. You're No Good and Dance the Night Away, which are covers. But Van Halen does covers better than anybody else, I think. Often like their covers more than the originals. Somebody Get Me a Doctor, killer track. Love that song quite a bit. Bottoms Up, another good track. Out of Love Again, that's okay. Light Up the Sky, it's okay. Spanish Fly, pretty good track. DOA, another good track. Woman in Love, good track. Beautiful Girls, which used to be my favorite track on the album, it's kind of faded a bit, gets a little bit too much airplay. But, pretty solid. I love that part there. So, and this is a Ted Templeton album. I think they're all Ted Templeton, if I remember correctly. I think he produced all 6 of these albums. David Lee Roth is at his best here. So, pretty solid album. So, that's my number 5, Van Halen II. Now it gets tough. Now, I want to say the next 3 rotate. They could be 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Second, 3rd, or 4th at any given day. Today, they're in this order, and I actually changed two of them around just before I did the video because I've been listening to the one a little bit more lately because I just got it. Actually, got both of them not too long ago. Anyways, I know I'm gonna take a bit of heat from people who like Vanhalen, but my number 4 is this album, Vanhalen I. And many people will put this at the top or very close to the top, thinking it's the best. It has a lot of really iconic songs on it. It's probably, I think it's probably their heaviest album. I love this. This is fantastic cover, and this is iconic. Picture all 4 of them together. That's where I try to get it out of the glare here. Anyways, 11 tracks, 11 great songs. Running with the Devil, iconic. I don't need to hear it anymore, though. I've heard it way too much for my own liking. I like Eruption, and You Really Got Me. I still like that quite a bit, but again, probably played too much. Ain't Talking About Love is probably their best track on this album, and is one of my favorite Van Halen songs. I'm the One the one you love. Jamie's Crying, of course, another iconic song. Like this album is laced with iconic songs. It was a huge album when it came out. Atomic Punk, good track. Feel Your Love Tonight, that's awesome. Little Dreamer, I don't mind that. Ice Cream Man, maybe my favorite now overall on this whole album. And On Fire is a great album, song as well. So no Weak Sisters on this album. And this album, there's very little separating it from the next two. The top album has been number 1 since the beginning, but these next 3 are like right on. They're all number 1 albums for me, all close to masterpieces too. And this one is well put together. Fantastic album. Okay, number 3, which was number 4, moved up to number 3 when I decided to do the videos. Another really, really solid album. Women and Children First. For a long time, this was probably my number 2, but lately it's been not. It's moved down slightly. Anyways, Cradle Will Rock and Everybody Wants Some. Classic radio songs. Fantastic. I never get tired of them, even though they've been played to death. Fools, like that quite a bit. Romeo's Delight, pretty good. Tora Tora, solid song. Loss of Control, maybe the weakest bit on the album for me. It's not a bad song, but it's a bit the weakest. Take Your Whiskey Home, fantastic. It's probably my favorite song on the album now. Over the years, it's just stood up better than some of the other ones. Not played as much either, which helps its cause. Could This Be Magic? Or Could This Be Love? I love that. It's fantastic. And in Simple Rhyme, probably a very underrated song. Maybe one of the most underrated Van Halen songs. So, what separated these two for me today? So, the reason this one got the nod today, just because I've played it less over the last little while, and it may be just a little newer to me because I just got it recently. I had it originally. I think I had it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was my friend's album we listened to. I may not have ever owned this one. It's a good chance I might not have. Anyways, pretty solid album. This was around the time I got into Van Halen. The top songs on this album, Take Your Whiskey Home and The Cradle Will Rock, Everybody Wants Some, and In Simple Rhyme, I think are as good as anything on this album, and that's probably the reason I chose it today. But, come back tomorrow, it could be the other way around. So there you have it. Number 3, Women and Children First. And again, I love the cover of this album. I like the green part to it. Goes with my shirt. Now, this is where I'm going to take a bit of a hit from Van Halen fans. My number 2 is only number 2 today. It's been as low as number 4. But coming into today, I quite like I said before, I think Van Halen does covers better than any other band. And the 5 covers on this album, we're talking about Diver Down, of course. I like all 5 covers on this better than the originals. There's not even it's not even really a debate. Like, I just like them better. It's just easy. First of all, Happy Trails. The reason I like that is just I think their harmony is very good, and I know the original one too. Uh, uh, Where Have All the Good Times Gone, which is a great track, but just Van Halen just does the Kinks better than the Kinks. Sorry, Ray and Dave, but I just think that Van Halen just does a better job of it. Intruder and Pretty Woman better than I don't really like the Roy Orbison version. Sorry, Roy, but I just don't. I just think this is so much better. And Big Bad Bill, I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs on this album. I'm not going to say too much about this album because I just did a album look back on it. But I like the covers quite a bit. But even without the covers, if you took the 5 covers off here, there would be 7 songs left. Those 7 songs are all really good. Hang 'em High, really good. Little Guitars, one of the most underrated Van Halen songs. I think it's a fantastic song. And Full Bug, another really pounding song for Van Halen. This Full Bug could have been on the first album, would have fit right in easily. So, no, really, really, really solid album, this one. It's not really that long either, which is not bad. I like my Van Halen short that way. So anyways, there it is, Diver Down. Number 2 today, could be number 3 tomorrow, could be number 4. But definitely, I think it gets too much bad press and too much people shit on it too much. I just think it's that, if you don't like covers, that's fine, but this is still a great album without the covers. And of course, number 1, well, there's only one left, right? Number 1 is Being Number 1. It was the first Van Halen album I bought. I love it. It's not even close between it and the other ones. The other ones are good, or some of them are actually great, but this one is just perfect. There isn't a track on here I don't like. Even One Foot Out the Door, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Van Halen, Fair Warning. I love this cover. It's fantastic. The album color I like a lot. Very rustic looking. I love all the Van Halen covers. They don't really have a weak one. 9 tracks, super album. Mean Street, other than the Mean Street and Unchained, which everybody knows, are just off the charts songs. I still like them quite a bit, even though they may be overplayed a bit. But it's the deep cuts on this album are just incredible. Even So This Is Love, another song played a lot on the radio in the day. It's not a bad song. Sunday Afternoon in the Park is okay, and One Foot Out the Door is good too. So you got the last 3 tracks, not that great, but the first 6 are better than anything I think Van Halen's done. Especially like my 2 favorites, which are Push Comes to Shove and Sinner's Swing. 2 underrated Van Halen songs. Push Comes to Shove may be my favorite Van Halen song. I love David Lee Roth's voice on this. I love the song itself. I basically wore the vinyl copy of this out, and I've had this copy for a fair bit of time, but I had another copy of this before this that got damaged, and I went out and got another one. So definitely my favorite Van Halen, maybe a top 20 album of all time for me, irregardless of the group. Sinner Swing, fantastic song as well. At times it gets really close to being my favorite on the album, but Push Comes to Shove has definitely got that title. And Dirty Movies, great track as well, another underrated song on the album. I mean, even the 2 big ones, Unchained and Mean Street, are just, the guitar on that is like off the charts on both songs. When it first came out, I listened to those 2 tracks quite a bit, and it wore out, and I started listening to the rest of them. But I think this album gets to be number 1 because the top 6 tracks on it are better than any other 6 tracks on total on any of the other Van Halen albums. I really like the production of the album quite a bit as well. So there you have it. My ranking of the Van Halen's David Lee Roth era original 6. And I feel comfortable with that. Maybe one day I'll rank the entire Van Halen discography, but I have no desire to really listen to the Sammy Hagar stuff. I have listened to 5150. It's not a terrible album, but it doesn't rank with these ones in my opinion. Okay, so we'll just do them again. So number 1, Van Halen's Fair Warning. Number 2, Diver Down. Number 3, Women and Children First. Number 4, Van Halen I. What is such an iconic cover, eh? Number 5, Van Halen II, another great album. And then the last release with David Lee Roth, 1984. Some pretty solid music on here as well. So I hope you enjoyed my Van Halen's ranking today for Wednesday favorites. And I'm hoping that you'll give me your ranking of the albums and why you rank them that way. And tell me what you like about the albums or don't like necessarily about the albums. Anyways, if you like this video, like and subscribe, and let me know if you want me to do more of this kind of stuff or what you would like to see me do. I will do some more rankings. I've only done this, only my second ranking, and I think it's basically for the reason I said, is I like to have the albums in my possession before I rank the albums. And there's a few groups that I have most of the stuff, but I don't have everything. And I may still rank them anyways. I'm not sure yet, but definitely there'll be a few coming, and it won't be as long between rankings as it was between Rush and Van Halen. Anyways, I hope you liked it. So I want you to have a good evening. So for Prog Monster, take care. Bye.